But I thought I would make this cup of tea and sit down and just update all of those people who are curious, really, as to what's happened with my vertical sleeve. What was it like to have the operation, etc. So of course I had to go back, reapply the lipstick a little bit and put up the famous bouffant. I think that really, you know, YouTube knows me as the bouffant woman. Well, it could be worse. But anyway, I had the vertical sleeve gastrectomy on the 25th of September 2020. And I had it through a company called Streamline Surgical. And the surgeon was called Chris Pring. Very nice, very personable. It was obviously private. I paid not many pounds short of £10,000 to have the operation. And of course it was at a private hospital in Harrow. The BMI hospital in Harrow, in fact. The biggest difficulty with the whole experience, including the surgery, recovery, and then recovering at home, was the nerves that I felt coming up to the surgery date. And within a week of that surgery date, I was required to pay the balance. I'd paid £1,000 deposit, and I was required to pay 9,000 odd as a balance to secure my spot a week later. And I was having real trouble deciding whether having this operation was the best thing for me to do. I had tried many diets. Everybody will tell you the same story because it's classic. It's a classic story. It's a very sad story because I think for those people who come to the conclusion that for them personally the best possibility of losing weight for their own particular reasons, be they medical, aesthetic or whatever, it doesn't matter what it is. The fact is that these women and men will come to the conclusion that that's their only hope really of losing the weight. And in my case, I was actually gaining weight year on year. And I had climbed quite high up the weight scale. I'd never been that size before. I'd gotten to the stage where I couldn't get into any of my clothes anymore. That made me very sad because I really enjoy clothes. I enjoy colour, different styles. I love jewellery, makeup. I want to be able to put those elements together and be pleased with what I see, and have fun. That's what it's all about for me, to be able to express myself, have fun, and just add a little bit of colour, a little bit of glamour to my days. I had turned 51 last year in March, so this year in March I'll be 52. I can't believe it. I was only, 32 just 5 minutes ago, and I thought I'm not going to struggle anymore. I don't want to struggle anymore, but I was very concerned about the side effects that I was reading about online. I had joined a Facebook group. It's weight loss surgery support is what it was called on Facebook, based here in the UK. And I was reading lots of reports about people having very bad reflux. Acid reflux isn't fun, and when they reduce the size of your stomach, there's more of a risk of developing acid reflux, whether you had it a little bit before or even for those who've never had it before. I'd never had acid reflux, never suffered with it. and I didn't want to start suffering with it. I was very concerned about losing the pleasure, the sensual pleasure of eating, and specifically eating large amounts. Eating for comfort had worked very, very well for me. All through my life from the age of 14, I remember discovering it as a very good way of coping with stress and anxiety. And when you are in your life faced with true stress and anxiety and a threat to your well-being, even at a young age, even as a child, an infant, whatever, even as a teenager like it was in my case, you bury those feelings. You have to bury those feelings in order to get through the day and in order to survive. And in order to find some semblance of peace of mind, of happiness and contentment. So those feelings have got to be suppressed and controlled somehow. And I found that eating large amounts, specifically of carbs, was a very, very good tonic for the feelings of anxiety, I think in particular. I think really, reflecting on it, it was really mainly anxiety. It was later that I developed depression, at around the age of 19. I remember feeling like a wave of depression had hit me like I'd never experienced before. But those previous feelings in my earlier teenage years were anxiety. I quickly realised that I was never going to be able to get on top of my eating for comfort. And I tried everything, and I'd lost a lot of weight. I've tried the Cambridge diet, the Lighter Life diet, keto, the cabbage soup diet, the raw vegan diet, veganism. I've done it all. And every year I was getting fatter than the year before. It obvious I had to come to the conclusion it wasn't working. So I spoke to some key people. There were some support people who worked at the actual Streamline Surgical company. And I also spoke to my manager about it. The lady from accounts actually emailed me and said, look, we need your payment today. It was like, you either do it, shit or get off the pot. And that's, I don't know that I'm going to keep that bit in, and I'm sorry in advance for offending anybody, but that's how it was. I was becoming more and more pressurized to actually make a commitment one way or the other. And I thought, look, I've got problems now. It's not like I'm going to be coming into a world of problems, whereas I'm perfectly fine now. I've got problems now. The best or the worst case scenario is that I will have those problems, but I'll be slim. So really, I've still gained. To cut a long and very painful story short, I had the money sitting in my account. I made that transfer. They gave me their bank details and I just made that payment. I thought, whatever it is that I end up with, it's likely to be better than what's happening to me now. So as soon as I made that payment, a peace came over me. I felt totally calm about the upcoming operation. I'd arranged all of my annual leave. I had 2 weeks sick leave. My daughter came to stay with the animals, to feed them. I had no concerns at all. I was totally mentally prepared for that operation. And I can't tell you how important I think that is, because I knew that I was ready. I had the strength to handle whatever was thrown at me after that operation, whatever side effects or complications I had to face. I was prepared to face it. And I think that is what made me steady. On that Friday, I think it was a Friday or maybe a Saturday, my husband drove me to the hospital. I'd done all the COVID tests and the MRSA swabbing and everything. Everything was ready. And due to the COVID-19, he couldn't come into the hospital with me, so I had to go in by myself, and I was awaiting the nerves to kick in. I thought maybe I was just going through a little bit of a lull, a false sense of security, and the nerves would kick in any minute, but actually they never did. I'll see if I can insert a little clip. I sent a video call quickly to my daughter just to update, and I'll see if I can insert it in here just to give you an idea of where I was at when I was actually in the parking lot of that hospital. Hey darlings, we've just pulled up at the hospital car park, and I don't need to go in for another hour. I've just seen my surgeon get out of his car and walk down to the hospital, so he's going to be there, which is quite good. I'm not feeling nervous. I don't know why I'm not feeling nervous. Why do you think it is, Steve?
Because you want it to happen, I guess.
I'm just looking forward to starting to recover at the other end. And of course, shopping trips for clothes. And I will contact you on the other side of the operation. I think that's about it, really. So I'll speak to you soon. Bye. So anyway, going forward in time, they showed me into my room. They gave me my paper pants, my compression stockings, and the surgical gown. Everything was ready. I had my band on. Everything was ready, and I was really, really surprised when the nurse came in and said, "You're actually first on the list now, so you'll be going down in about half an hour." I just thought, oh my God, I haven't even caught my breath. You know, I've just gotten into my paper pants. Now I'm having to walk to theatre. And pretty soon there I was, strolling down to theatre, chatting away with the theatre nurse that was taking me down there, laughing and joking. I noticed that there was a man. He may have been a doctor there. He was walking a few steps ahead of us. He actually turned around to see who that freakishly jolly woman was who was walking down to theatre. I mean, I had no nerves because I'd accepted my fate. Whatever ever was coming, I was ready to face it. And thank heaven that I was in that situation, because if you were very, very nervous and frightened, that walk would have been like some kind of a sentence walk or something. Anyway, the anaesthetist was very friendly. We were chatting. He put my cannula in. He asked me to keep talking so that they knew that the medication had started to work. He gave me a very strong painkiller and that sedative and the anaesthetic. And the next thing I knew, I was in the recovery room. Flat on my back, in the recovery room. I could hear the noises around me. There was the most wonderful Filipino nurse there by my side. He had such kind brown eyes. I can't tell you. I was so happy to see those brown eyes, you know. Because, you know, your body, they've cut away at least 75% of your stomach. All of that stretchy part of your stomach is gone. You've just got a little sort of a sleeve with a little pouch at the bottom that can hold about 120 milliliters of fluid or food or solids, and that's it. Everything else is in the incinerator, never to return. And the way I feel now, good riddance to it. It caused me nothing but trouble for 40 years of my life, at least. So he asked me whether I was in any pain. For those of you who are worried about the pain, I want to give you reassurance. All I could feel was just a little bit of a presence there. It wasn't pain, it wasn't even discomfort, it was just a sensation. All the rest of my body, I didn't feel my body really. All I felt was that little strip just there where my stomach is, as a sensation there. And I sort of, he said, you know, blink your eyes if you can hear me, open your eyes, this sort of thing. And I was aware of the surgeon standing at one side of the bed, sort of looking over to see if his patient was okay. And I sort of nodded and made it known that I could feel something, until actually the pain relief that he gave me took it all away. And hand on heart, I can say to you that I've never felt any pain, actual pain, as a result of this operation. That sensation there that I felt on that recovery bed was the only piece of discomfort that I felt. There were some discomfort you know, I'm going to talk about where the discomfort came from and how much was it, but for those who are concerned about pain, please be assured there's no real pain. So for the rest of the day of that surgery, let's say that I had my surgery at about 1:30 in the afternoon. Because they'd pumped me so full of the pain medication, the anti-sickness, all of that sort of thing, I didn't feel anything, and I just thought, wow, I don't even feel like I've had an operation really. The incisions were tiny. I'd had my gallbladder removed previously, and they actually went in through those same incisions. The incisions that they made were about 1 centimetre wide, and I've got 6 of them on my upper abdomen above the belly button. The difficulty started the following day. So it was mainly due to being able to drink. Initially, you're on restricted fluids, and then when they see that actually you're okay and your observations are all right, they put you on what they call free fluids, and they encourage you to drink as much as you're able. But I wasn't really able to drink much. I would say on a couple of occasions over the 3 days that I was in that hospital, I felt queasy on 2 or 3 occasions. I never vomited, but there was no way on earth that I was going to be able to take their paracetamol, the liquid paracetamol, in a syringe. It was not going to, it tasted too strong, it was too sweet, it was too gloopy, there was no way I was going to get it down. But I did take some Oromorph, and the Oromorph was great because it helped me settle and go to sleep. I had these compression boots on that inflated and deflated in various different areas to actually keep the blood circulating properly, to stop the blood clots from forming if they're going to form. And they kept me awake, something terrible. So there are a few things that I took into that hospital with me. I took some lip balm. Very, very good idea to have something to coat your mouth, to coat your lips like that. You're not drinking, you're very dry, you're not eating anything. Your voice is very thready. And you sound sort of like an 85-year-old, you know. I'm sure that's what I'm going to sound like when I'm 85. But that lip balm really helped. I brought obviously my phone, so I had music, I had podcasts, and I bought my headphones. But the one thing that I didn't take was my earplugs, because hospitals are very loud. You can hear other patients' bells going off, doctors talking to nurses, nurses doing their rounds, and really every couple of hours somebody's coming in to give you something. I mean, you can't really rest in the hospital. I was probably more tired. That contributed, I would say, to my tiredness once I got home. So I wasn't able to drink much, but they gave me about 1 litre of fluids overnight just to keep my fluids up. But I didn't actually eat anything for a period of 4 days. So I went through that liver reducing diet for 2 weeks. 4 days where I didn't eat anything at all, and then on very, very thin, small amounts of puree when I got home. I was feeling quite weak because of the lack of food. I was worried about myself. Somebody who thinks that, you know, the world begins and ends with food and what you're eating, when you're suddenly not eating anything, you think, my God, I've landed on a parallel planet here. I've never not eaten anything for 4 days. I wondered whether I'd be all right. I wondered whether I'd ever be able to eat again. But of course, you know, from that moment of having that gastrectomy, your stomach goes through that healing process. It's a wound like any other, and it takes time to heal. And, you know, it's been 3 months now, but I know that, you know, it takes a good 18 months for things to heal in a meaningful sense like that. The surgeon would come and visit me every day. He was very good, very attentive. He would keep telling me that I looked well. And he would encourage me to start drinking the broth they were giving me. So it was either vegetable or chicken broth. It was a little ramekin dish of broth. And I'd have a peppermint tea. And I believe, although I can't remember whether they gave me a yogurt, they may have given me a yogurt, but it just went back completely untouched. I would keep hold of the peppermint tea and sip it throughout the day, and I found that standing up and slowly walking in my room while it was going down just opened up my abdomen, opened up my chest, and allowed it to go down. I wasn't able to FaceTime with my husband. I was able to speak on the phone. They were lonely days. They were lonely days. And I had to really get a hold of myself to get through. But there was no sickness. There was no pain. There were no side effects. There was no acid reflux. Really, I've got absolutely nothing to complain about. When I saw Steve turn up in his car, it was like an angel had landed and, you know, come to whisk me away. Is that my phone? Bye. Okay, sorry about that. So I was very, very pleased to come home, and I knew that I had 2 weeks to recuperate. I know that on the Facebook group, people are always asking, is 2 weeks long enough? I've only taken a week off. You know, everybody's different. A lot of the people on the Facebook page will say that they've taken different times off. I found that I wouldn't really have wanted to go back before 2 weeks. 2 weeks was long enough for me to be comfortable enough to drive, to be comfortable enough in my clothes. You know, I tended to wear dresses rather than anything with a waistband, and I had been sort of sending, you know, photos, messages, having FaceTime chats. I could see myself on the screen, and I really felt like my face had lost a little bit of that water retention or whatever it was that was in it. I also noticed that my ankles had lost a lot of the water retention. So there are, you know, you do notice things really right from the beginning. You notice things. I got onto Amazon and I bought some little plastic pots. They hold about 150 milliliters or maybe 200 milliliters. I was on puree for that first month after the operation, and I would just puree simple things like chicken or fish with a little bit of potato and some stock. You know, sort of fill it up to here, but there's no way that you can eat anything near this. You know, your stomach is still very, very inflamed. The surgeon said it was quite tight in there. I don't know, I didn't even want to know what he meant. And, you know, you just have half or a quarter of a teaspoonful, sort of masticate it a little bit and try and swallow it down. And, you know, these little meals take a long time. you're used to sitting down and wolfing your food down and going up for seconds even before you've decided whether you're still hungry or not. So now everything is slowing down. You're having to be very mindful about what you're eating and how much you're eating, how big your mouthful is. You can't eat and drink at the same time. So that sets up the beginnings of new habits, you know, because I expect that I'm going to be eating in this mindset for quite a few months. You can't break the rules. So, you know, within that time, you psychologically you've made new habits in your mind of how to approach meals. So I was really having 6 little purees a day, and they were asking me to drink at least 1.5 litres of water. I mean, there's no way that I was going to be able to do that. I just did my best. You know, the dietitian said you've got to try and eat the equivalent of 3 small chicken breasts a day. There's no way that I'm going to be able to do that. I bought this stuff here, Premier Protein. I made it up and I didn't like it. So as far as protein shakes go, I know that lots of people have protein enriched stuff, shakes and things like that. I didn't do any of that. I bought some chewable vitamins. I'm still on chewable vitamins. I've finished my last one yesterday, so pretty soon I'm going to try and actually swallow the they like you to have A to Z vitamin, you know, multivitamin and mineral, A to Z. So slowly over the days, over the weeks, I was feeling more and more comfortable with eating. I didn't suffer from I did suffer from constipation and diarrhea, both at the same time. That's the truth. There were some issues going on down there, but nothing that really caused major discomfort or pain. Things are settling down. My habit now is developing to be more frequent and more normal. And over these last few months, so after that first month, then you go on to soft foods. I went on to soft foods sooner than a month because I felt that it was giving me a runny tummy being on only purees. It wasn't suiting me at all. So I just chose very carefully what I had, and I would make sure that I would chew it and chew it and chew it until it was ready to be swallowed. Didn't do me any harm. And now I've got a habit of what I eat, and I eat almost the same thing every day. In the morning I have 1 whole wheat pita bread with feta cheese and olive oil in it. In the early days I was more hungry than I am now, so I would slice up some boiled eggs and put them on top of the feta cheese and eat that. So that was a really substantial thing that I was eating. Now I just have the feta cheese without the boiled eggs. Then at about 11-12 o'clock I have a banana. Later on in the afternoon at about 2:30, then I have some leftovers from my dinner before, and dinner is normally either chicken or smoked salmon or fish or something like that with a vegetable or with a bit of potato. And then in the afternoon I bought the sachets of porridge. I have one of those if I'm particularly hungry, and then in the evening I have another protein and vegetable, sometimes with a little bit of potato meal. That's what I have. I have the same thing every day. Every now and again I will have a chocolate. Every now and again I'll have a little a biscuit, a shortbread biscuit. It's very, very buttery and rich, and I don't have the same cravings that I used to. I don't have those endless cravings of sweet things. I'm very, very accustomed to heat up my tea because it's very rare that you'll be able to have a hot drink from start to finish. everything slows down when it comes to the eating, and you know, it's the biggest relief ever. I feel so much better about my eating now. I don't feel like I'm at the mercy of my desire to eat like I had it before. I don't have that nagging worry in the back of my mind in the evenings of how I, you know, would do a lot of eating after I'd finished my dinner. That period between the end of dinner and bed was quite a time of anxiety for me that I used to manage with eating. I also used to drink red wine. Often I didn't really fancy it, but I just had this compulsion. You know, I'm not an expert. I'm just saying that, you know, this is how I experienced it. So now, you know, that's what I have every day. And I'm at the stage 3 months later of now being able to get into a lot of the clothes that I wasn't able to get into before. And like a lot of yo-yo dieters, I've got clothes from size 10 to size 18 and beyond in my wardrobe. I am getting rid of the larger sizes as they grow, you know, they grow out of me, and just focusing on what I'm able to wear now. So in my tops now, I'm a medium, 14 to 16, and in my bottoms, I'm a 16. So I just bought some jeans. They're kind of jeggings. I haven't been able to get into any of my jeans for years, and I never wanted to spend the money on any new clothes in these larger sizes because I was determined that by hook or by crook, that weight was going to come off somehow or other. By fair means or foul, it was going to have to come off. I've got some really nice clothes that I've really got my eye on. They're size 14, specifically these lovely pale grey kind of cropped jeans. I've had them for years, never had the heart to get rid of them because I always hoped that I'd get back into those jeans, and fingers crossed over these next few weeks I will be able to. It's a wonderful feeling to be able to buy things that you know you're going to get into. All the shops are closed. I've been buying most of my stuff online. Amazon is my new best friend. I'm always waiting for something to turn up. The other thing that I'd like to mention is my shoe size has gone down. Half a size. You know, I'd been a size 7 for a really long time. In trying out this new outfit that had just arrived, my daughter, who's actually moved out, had kind of discarded a pair of size 6 trainers, and I put them on, and they fitted. All I needed was just that little extra half size to make them comfortable. But I know that if I go on to Marks and Spencer's to buy a pair of shoes, and I order 6.5, they're going to fit like a glove. My makeup looks better on my face. I feel like I've achieved something when I've put my makeup on now. And no shade onto anybody else. This is a very, very personal journey that I'm sharing with you here. This is just how I subjectively feel. I'm able to wear nice jewellery, and I feel that it doesn't get lost. And when I do this is the holy grail, isn't it? Collarbones. So that was my quick update of what it was like having that vertical sleeve gastrectomy. Steve, come here a moment. How has it been for you travelling with me on this journey?
Well, it's been a bit strange because we don't really eat together. It's a bit odd in that respect, but otherwise it's all right. Although I don't get cooked for as often. I
don't cook like I used to. I used to make all sorts of delights, but
yeah.
But you know, I think what with the cooking, I think it's going to come back because I'm going to be able to eat an ever wider variety of food, and there's no reason for me to just have purees and stuff anymore, or soft foods anymore. So that'll probably come back. And what's it been like for you with my weight loss? How have you experienced my weight loss?
Well, it's easier to carry you up the stairs.
He doesn't carry me up the stairs, you know, he doesn't. But how's it been sort of watching me lose weight? Or maybe you haven't even thought about it.
No, I have. No, I have. You feel like you've lost weight. More than, well, not more than, but additionally. Additionally to looking like you've lost weight.
Yeah. It's nice seeing me in sort of different clothes.
Yeah. And of course you complain that all your clothes are too big for you now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what I paid the man for. And I paid good money for it too.
Yeah. I've never asked about that, as you know.
Well, I believe that, you know, I needed to invest in myself. At 51, I didn't feel like I had the luxury of endless decades ahead of me. And those decades, if I'm lucky to have those decades, you never know what's around the corner. But I want to enjoy myself. I want to enjoy my body, the things that I love, the things that I like to do. Wear nice clothes in interesting colours, not always be in black. So there you have it. A very, very quick update. I will post more on the subject as I need to over the next few months. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers and happy 2021.